we live in interesting times for sure.
Isn't it a Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times?
Actually, a Chinese curse, I believe.
A curse. Does sound a little more like that, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Well, and I think people probably have lots of feelings and emotions about what's going on in their lives and the country and the world. So we're going to talk about the difference between feelings and emotions, because I think they can enhance or be a detriment in a lot of personal relationships, which is what we talk about here.
Especially that, yes.
Especially that. Oh, yeah. Can make or break things sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
Barry, and I'd like to welcome you to the newsstreamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio and TV podcasts, #1 internet singles talk network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
So I love looking up definitions, so I looked up a couple definitions for us today.
Mm-hmm.
So the definition of emotion is natural instinctual state of mind, deviating from our circumstances and the mood relationships with others. And our feelings are the emotional side of someone's character emotional response. So the comparison was emotions are raw and instinctual, and feelings interpret the emotional responses. And I think that really does help a lot with understanding. One of the things that Alison Armstrong talks about a lot, that emotions are in motion. Generally, our feelings are kind of sitting there. We're sad or mad or unhappy or happy or excited. And we could have a whole bunch of them, but they're kind of sitting there separate, where the emotions like all over the place, and it can encompass a bunch of those feelings at once. And I think sometimes it can be really hard if you're like, well, I'm happy about that, but sad about that. So one of the things I've talked lately is I said, there needs to be this biggest font you can make. And you can be happy and sad. You can be mad and still like them. So boy, is that important in personal relationships, right, Barry?
Absolutely. And it's funny because in one of the spiritual teachings I was learning from, talks about how basically feelings are more aligned to who we are, whereas emotions are things that are transitory, that go through our consciousness. And in some ways, like you were saying with Alison, talks about how it's emotion, literally emotion is energy in motion, the E for energy. So it's energy in motion, which means really the emotions are transitory. They're like, they said, they're like clouds. They shift across our consciousness. They're back and forward. They're zigzag and everything else. The thing is, I would recommend not putting a lot of investment in your emotions, maybe into your feelings, because they have more tenure, they have more presence, and they're more static, and not so much in your emotions. And the thing, and we'll talk later in the show about how to work with both of them. But the understanding is that it's almost kind of like buses. There'll be another one along any minute. so if you have an upset emotion now, wait a couple of minutes, it'll pass and something else will come by.
And I'll quote Dr. Laura with this. She talks frequently about how emotions have no logic. There's no logic. Yeah. Often when we go, I don't even know why I felt this way, but I really have this emotion about this. I'm really experiencing this. And there's no really logical reason, like the FEAR acronym of false evidence appearing real. Mm-hmm. When there's no evidence, there's not a bear at the door, but you're terrified that somebody might not call you back. I mean, really, we can get really wrapped up in, they haven't called me back, and they haven't written in like 24 hours. And we get as emotional about that as if there was a bear at the door. Right. And so thinking about it that way, that, oh, it's an emotion and it's not logical. What feelings do I have? Because the feelings I find are so much more grounded. I love that you said clouds or the river moving by, because the feelings are a real thing, a real concrete. I can say I'm sad because of this and I'm mad because of this, but I'm feeling emotional. Often we can't even determine exactly all the emotions, all the feelings that we're having that are making us feel emotion. And yet we make huge decisions on them, which is really right?
The number of bad decisions that have been made based upon an emotional upset triggered issues. Because the thing is, I know hand to God, I've done it myself in past relationships where I let emotions take the helm rather, and drive the ship into a wall because I wasn't willing to be patient with them. I said earlier about how emotions are like buses, there could be another along any moment. That's from the wisdom of hindsight. I have definitely had more than enough times in past relationships where emotions got in the way of us ability to be actually loving with each other. And I know at least a few of the breakups I've had were caused by disruptive emotions that weren't dealt with and resolved and moved forward from. And if I'd known then what I know now, my relationships would have been a lot happier and healthier and lasted a lot longer. So I know the price that I paid for not having presence to let the emotions just pass by and then come back to the truth. Like you're saying, you can have them both simultaneously, this and that.
So important. And the other thing is, I've talked so much about what if there's a good reason the other person said that or did that or acted that way. And I think we need to be just as kind with ourselves. What's a good reason I really reacted huge about that? What did it touch on? There's really a thing. I'm sure there's a thing. Does that mean I need to act on it right now, this second? Maybe not. Maybe if I go, what's more about that I need to think? And as you talked about, taking a beat or walking away, or asking yourself a question, or having the other person ask you, wow, I see this is really upsetting you. What do you think's going on? It's really so easy to talk about that when you're not both upset. When both of you are upset, it's like the gloves come off and the fists come out. It's terrible.
Yep. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting game we play as humans. It's I'm just looking back again to say about bad decisions made based upon emotional reactions. I would say that things have happened in this world on a global scale or something on a national scale, from wars that have broken out to other things that happened that basically were based on emotional reaction versus real conscious thought and real deep feelings about stuff. And so the scale of what can happen is kind of crazy, but the reality is we have dominion ourselves. And we'll talk again in the show about how you can manage your emotions in a much more sustainable, healthy, and ideally beneficial way than maybe you're doing so far.
And another thing that just hit me is that when I'm having a feeling, it's inside of me. I mean, it might be in reaction to something that's happening outside, but it's still happening in me. I am having great feelings about it, where my emotions are often created by, touched by, aggravated by, increased by outside things. I think that's
Yeah.
another really important distinction to say, okay, this thing that's happening inside of me, I'm having this reaction. Is it a me feeling, or is it a me reacting emotionally to something else? Because boy, would that put things back in a potentially more logical place, or more handleable place.
Well, that's the other part too, that a lot of people, nobody listens to a show, of course, other people don't listen to a show, who use who use emotional blackmail, who basically use emotions to get what they want and manipulate their partners. So definitely it's true that emotions are much more externally referenced. They're things that are reactive to things that are happening, whereas feelings are things we've developed ourselves because of our experiences of things that have happened to us. And the difference is really can be subtle in some ways, but very blatant in other ways. And yes, it is, to be blunt, emotions aren't the most reliable things to depend upon or to base your decision making on.
Nope, there's no logic. And it really is the truth. It's not, or where emotions come from and how they work are not based in logic. It's just, if we just accept that as probably a really medically proven fact, we would stop making such huge decisions because we're feeling emotional about something.
Yeah.
And I've said more than once that Allison explained to us ladies that with this stack of pancakes inside of us from our chin to our navel, that it's all of our emotions. Every pancake represents a different emotion. And we have lots of feelings about everything all the time. It's our feelings, not emotions. We have feelings. So we have feelings about everything all the time, everything, lots of feelings. So if we say, oh, I'm having a feeling, and sort out your feeling, and then why are you having an emotional reaction about this feeling? Because feeling sad is really normal, and feeling sad, happy, feeling scared, normal. But then you think, what is the reaction I'm having to this real feeling? And is this reaction, this emotion, based on that feeling or based on other things that are happening around it? And to really stop, boy, is that a practice, because I have the same thing where I've certainly said things, oh my gosh, or actions that was totally emotion based. And when I really thought about it later and went back to and said, but I was really feeling this way. I'm so sorry I lashed out at you. This had so little to do with you. It might have had this much to do with you, but my reaction was like this. because I now saw what a big emotional reaction I had because of something inside of me. And boy, the onus of that takes so much of the charge away, and can really, if they're the right person, get them on your side, or at least back on your side. If you admit, oh gosh, I really had no idea. I think what I would say sometimes is my evil twin took over.
Yeah, that's a useful but not very functional reference to use there. The thing I would say also is that emotions, because they are a transitory thing, it's not I'll say another way. It's tempting sometimes to think that they mean something special, something important, but they don't actually usually do. And if you are willing to let go of that attachment to making them important, then they can dissipate more easily. I did a meditation exercise with a friend, with a client a long time ago. And I said, and I mentioned earlier about clouds thing. It's like, I mentioned this, like, if you imagine that your emotions are like clouds, then if you're meditating, you can actually use that metaphor to imagine your emotions disappearing. So if you're feeling a little bit discordant, upset because some emotions are berating your consciousness, they're impacting you in negative ways. If you took the moment to just close your eyes, or if you can, wherever you are, somewhere safe, and just breathe quietly, you can actually spend some time just to focus on allowing those emotions to dissipate like clouds, like just blowing apart in the wind. And you'll find yourself getting back to center much more quickly. And if you do that as an exercise, I mean, it's not very hard to do, but it can change your interaction with everybody, including your loved ones. So maybe it's something worth considering.
Sounds like a really good practice for people to just see if it works for them. At least try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what happens generally is we have a feeling. Either we already have a feeling, or something happens and creates a feeling about or with another person, and we just don't stay there. We now have emotion about it that now makes us go into motion of talking or lashing out, or I mean, certainly we could have an emotion of expressing happiness, but we're not talking about the kind of things that make relationships better, even though we love talking about that. Generally, we like warning people about the things that can harm, damage, or even destroy your relationship. So just reacting in an emotional way just because you have a feeling can be very destructive to a relationship, because one of the hardest things you and I have personally learned, and we teach our clients, is it's so much harder to take something back. Once those words are out there, I mean, I've learned to apologize. I've taught you to apologize. But if we could avoid doing it quite so often and quite so cuttingly, our relationships could go along in a more smooth manner. And then we could trust ourselves and the other person to not do that mean thing, because it's such a mean thing. Because usually we use something about them that's tender, that that's usually what happens when we have a lot of emotion. We stab them in our tender emotional place that they've trusted with us, or we do it because it's going to make us feel less bad or less wrong and then more wrong. And that's really often, I certainly experienced it, and I certainly hear about it with my clients, and you've talked about it too, that it's so destructive. And
yeah,
I never feel good after. I could see why we would keep doing it if we did feel better after. I generally just don't. Maybe I do a little bit right when it happens, but I never feel good after. So I think, why do I keep doing that? So I really was so pleased to learn how to catch myself most of the time to not do it that way.
I mean, yes, I've become very masterful at this stuff, and it still happens. I was thinking about recently, earlier this week, my flaw in terms of handling my emotions happens when I'm driving, usually. Less in conversation, less interactions with people I love and everything else. But when I'm driving, it shows up because of people, and I'm using this as a example of what not to do stupid things on the road. And my car it's fun, it's nimble, it drives well. And so there's a part of me that sometimes when somebody does something stupid, I would do my best to get around them, pass them, and gone. Because I figure the further away I am from them, the better it's going to be. But the satisfaction and the feeling I have inside, the emotional, like almost vengeful feeling I have, like I did better than them, shows up. And I'm like, I know better than this, but I still fall into it. So just to speak honestly, to be transparent, I know how to do this and I still make a mess of it and still have challenges with it too. So I'm just speaking to the point of view that if you have emotional, in quotes, outbursts, carefully, of course, be aware you have dominion over them too. And I know I do too. I do myself. I definitely, I mean, I'm not Catholic and I don't do Hail Marys, but I definitely, after I've looked back and realized, oh, I did that. I take a moment just to be kind to myself and say, don't need to do that again, because it really isn't very functional.
Yeah, because chastising ourselves after really doesn't help us do better. It's like, okay, I did that. I accept that. And I'm still working on it. And we're still going to do this kind of stuff forever. Just hopefully catch it sooner and not do it as often. And that's our promise. I'm not going to do it as often. And the next time I'm not going to do it, I'm going to go, good job. I didn't do it that way.
Right.
Yeah, because I brag that I know I have lots of people's share of patience. I was born this really patient person, but there are times, and often with the thing that sets me off is when they continually, no matter how clear I've been, no matter even if I can get them to repeat back what I said, they completely misunderstand me over and over and over. Just sets my teeth on edge, as my grandmother used to say. It's the hardest thing for me. And I can feel my blood boiling and me thinking how stupid they are and why can't they get this? And it can't be me. I'm doing this so well. Oh, it's just the worst for me. I just can call them all sorts of names in my head, but it really does. That's the thing that sets me off the most. And I truly understand. I think most of the time they are doing their best. Sometimes they really don't want to understand me because they really want it to be their way. It's still frustrating. And I will keep saying it's frustrating. And I have a lot of emotion about it because it's something that's happened my entire life. Haven't we all been misunderstood? It just is a bigger deal to me. I think it's just a really big deal to me. So it really touches on a very soft place inside of me.
Yeah, I think I suspect everyone has at least one go-to where they know that's one of the places they play. But the thing is, having the willingness to grow up, so to speak, and become more aware means that you may still have those areas you play like a brat in a playpen making a mess. as a way to start helping it, but you don't live that way. You don't let it run you. So that's a choice. Anyway, I know we're going to take a break, so we'll talk more after the break about how to work with this.
Yes, because I think having a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old still living inside of you can be great fun, but not in this way.
No.
Not in the emotional. I'm so mad. I'm stomping my foot and going to my room and sit in the corner and eat worms.
Exactly. That's the emotional outburst.
It is. It is. Well, boy, if this is landing with you at all, that you're like, I never thought about it that way, or wow, I've wondered how to work with this. And boy, there's people in my life like this, and I wish they would change. Barry and I could help you with all of those things.
Yes, we can.
We're masters at that. So we would love to chat with you. And the way to chat with me is to go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. Scroll to the middle of that homepage, and there's a questionnaire called What's Holding You Back from Love? And you click on that. There's 8 brief questions about what the heck is going on now that you would like to be different. And what do you think you would like to be better? It really gives you a chance to get clear about that and to tell me more about it. And then you get access to my online calendar. You can schedule a complimentary conversation with me, either on the phone or on Zoom. And you'll leave with some tips for sure. And then we'll decide if we either would like to talk more together or not. You could also send me an email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. And how would people reach you, Barry?
Similar fashion, you can go to my website, which is my name, barryselby.com. And on the top of my homepage of my website is a link to get on my calendar, which basically says, let's have a conversation, let's have a chat. And when you click on that, it'll take you to my calendar where you can choose a spot where we talk. It'll be a Zoom conversation we'll schedule. There'll be a questionnaire you fill out as well, which will give me some understanding inside where you are and also have you a chance to reflect on where you are and what you're looking for. Say it's a Zoom chat, so it's a free complimentary gift from me to you. And really it's a chance for us, one, to get to know each other a little bit, but also for me to go for you some guidance, some tips, things you can do. And we see if we want to work together. No strings, no requirements, just a chance to talk. And if you want to send me an email, you can send me one at barry@barryselby.com. We'll tell you about all the rest of the stuff at the end of the show.
So we're going to take a short break for our wonderful sponsor, the newstreamingnetwork.com, that puts out our live episodes as well as our podcast. And we'll be right back to talk more about the difference between feelings and emotions.
See you in a moment.
Hi, and we're back. This is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry, and we're talking about the differences between feelings and emotions. And there really is a difference. There really is a difference. And if we honor the difference, we can have a much better relationship with ourselves and other people, as
Yep.
we're talking about today. Because I think people think that they're the same. They're intertwined, but they're really not the same.
Right. And as I mentioned before the break, there are definitely tools, techniques you can use. And the one I mentioned before the break is about with emotions, because they are very fluid and they do move pretty quickly, is if you want to just manage them more effectively, like I said before, another talk about anger, you count to 10, they're likely to change or shift anyway. And so with emotions in particular, being able to shift and have them move away is not a hard thing to do. I mean, just stopping still, taking a breath, close your eyes, count to 10. The likely thing is when you open your eyes again, it'll be a different emotion or no emotion. So it's a good thing to work that to before you let it run the show. Like I said, I've done in the past, and I'm sure most people have as well. You can choose to say, you know what, I can feel it coming up, but I'm rather than let it run loose and let it say what it wants to say in front of that person, which might be the worst thing I could possibly do, even though there might be a satisfaction in saying it. It may be worth just simply stepping back and holding off for a second and counting to 10, and then deciding after 10 seconds, is it still true? Because the odds are likely it isn't.
I think that's very rare with Miss Byron Katie boy. And the other thing I've been thinking about too is I know for me that when I would have a feeling and then I would emote, it was almost like, oh, I'm not going to pay as much attention to that feeling. I'm not going to really sit with the feeling. It's like a distraction, or it's another action over here. And I've paid attention to that. I'm thinking, oh, why don't I want to sit with that feeling? It might be good to sit with that feeling and not get so high in the emotion, especially when the emotion is going to get put on the other person. To just sit more with, and even to enlist the other person. I'm having a big feeling about this. I'm having a big sadness. I'm having a big frustration. I'm having a big anger. And talk about stay with the feeling, because when we go to the emotional part, it generally includes the other person. It hooks onto their emotion. And now they're going to get all riled up. And generally, it's like watching little kids that just keep escalating and nothing really good can come out of it. That if you stay with your feeling, and then if they stay with this is how the feeling I'm having, my feeling over here on my chair about what's happening with you or happening with me, and not have that hook thing that gets the emotion go crazy. Unless it's a really happy thing. I think that's really great. And but that's so different. It's so different. We don't do that enough, I think, where I want to be really emotionally happy. Could we both be really excited about this? Do we really do that much as human beings? I think we're like, I'm mad at you. I think there's way more of that.
To be honest, I think what happens is that we as human beings put more heft and weight on negative emotions than doing positive emotions. And yes, to get excited about something, to be joyful, to be exuberant are really wonderful feelings to have. That, well, the feelings and emotions, again, like you said, they do intertwine quite a bit. But the recognition is that having things that make us excited, that are these emotional, euphoric feelings that grow up in us, that give us a sense of joy, are so fun to have. But we don't tend to remember as much as we do the ones that are negative. So we are much more aware of our emotions of anger, and upset, and justification, and judgment, and blame, and all these different things. I think we're just wired that way to think negatively, and so we hold those more easily.
It's a really good thought to think about. So to even more be encouraged when you're having a positive emotion about something or someone, to say something out loud. I've talked so much about notice and compliment men, ladies. It's really what we don't do as often. It's not like we don't see it go by, but we don't say anything about it. But we're very clear when we need you to do something differently or you've done something wrong. We can have a lot of words about that. So this could be in this same house. It would live in the same place where you think, I'm having an emotion about this. What's my part? What's my part of this feeling? I'm having this feeling. And to talk to the other person about, this is my feeling. This is my feeling about what's going on with me right now. But I had a really bad day. And I'm not feeling very generous about giving compliments right now because I had a really bad day. So I really need you to say some nice things to me. And then I probably could say some nice things to you. But it's not them being bad. It's them being there as a support, them to give you some guidance and appreciation. Because I think often when we're feeling really emotional, it's that we aren't getting what we want. Isn't that what happens to the 5-year-old when they get
Yeah.
really emotional? I've seen the kids that just collapse in the grocery store because they want that toy right now, and they haven't had a nap, and they need a snack, and they're having a whole fit and falling in it, as my mother used to say. And I think that that's what happens with us, that we get really caught up in the emotion and almost lose sight of whatever the feeling really was.
Yeah.
Because a little kid would go, I'm hungry, if they had that language, instead of, I want that toy and I'm going to crash on the floor.
Yes, I would say that the toddlers are the most exemplified form of emotion on the planet. and it's true. It is the thing, because this is the thing, and I'm going to say this as a cautionary tale for people out there. Young people in toddler form don't have the articulation, the vocabulary, the skill set, the ability to handle emotions. So emotions come out like blam. And if you're on the line of fire, tough luck, you're going to get hit. As adults, we learn new skills and techniques and ways to think things, understand things, and be more able to handle different things. Yet sometimes our emotional well-being is that of a toddler. We don't actually have the emotional expression of an adult. So I'm going to say this now, and then we'll talk about more at the end of the show. If you're finding yourself not able to handle your emotions beyond the level of a toddler, let's talk afterwards, because frankly, it's not going to help your relationships or anything. It's one reason we talk about this in the show about dating and relationships, because emotions can make a massive impact, usually negatively, on your ability to have a relating experience with somebody. So this shift, and again, handling your emotions in a more conscious, caring, positive way. In fact, I talk about work about having emotional maturity and having emotional mastery. Those are levels of awareness that give you a sense of mastery in areas of relationship or dating as well. Is that most people haven't even touched on the idea of having any level of mastery over their emotions. They just go, oh, it's them again, And so, again, there are techniques and tools that work with this. Feelings as well. I mean, I want to sidetrack into feelings for a moment. Feelings we talked about as being things that are more static. They're more inner as well. And yes, sometimes they can be negative, such as depression or feeling sad, other things as well. They're not immovable. They can also be worked with as well. It just takes more effort, more willingness, and more openness to work with.
Such a good point, Barry. And we've talked a lot about how both of us have studied this so much.
Yeah.
And, we still have talked about how it doesn't happen the perfect way all the time, especially if I haven't eaten or slept. Everybody knows those are my Achilles heels.
Yes.
And so we have the tools to help people self-regulate, to get yourself back to an even keel just inside yourself. Because when you're not getting what you want and need from another person, and it's making you feel very emotional, being emotional is generally not going to get you what you want to need. It's
right.
Backfires. So learning what do you want to need and the skills to ask for it, to make it available for the other person to be able to give it to you, makes life so much better in general, and certainly in romantic relationships, because the stakes just get higher. They just do. When you're thinking about your heart, or you have attached your heart to somebody, everything is just more tender, more vulnerable, which is good, because you want to feel tender and vulnerable with this person. And the challenge is that when you're having emotions, they're going to be even more. So learning ahead of time, whether you're getting ready to be in a relationship or already, Barry and I would be happy to help you learn these skills for you personally. And then, wow, you could maybe teach the other person too. Wouldn't that be a good deal?
Wonderful. Absolutely.
It's such a learned experience. People you don't know how to do this. Hopefully your parents taught you some when you were falling apart when you were 5. And we don't know how to do it in a loving relationship, because it's not the same. You're not learning a romantic relationship when you're growing up. So learning how to be this in a romantic relationship is a whole net of skills to build on that. That's what Barry and I are good at, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we talked in another shows about how, like, we have sex education in schools, but not relationship skills in schools. We don't have emotional education in schools either, frankly. So what we're talking about here are things that there was no formal education provided for you as a teenager and adult to handle these things. So if you're handling stuff now, you're way ahead of the curve, because you didn't have any training to do that. But if you're having challenges with it, you're part of the population, and the majority of the population, who don't have academic skills that may have helped you manage this in a healthy way.
Mhm.
So, first of all, when you recognize and look back in the last few weeks, few days, few months, even where you had the emotional upsets, or you did an outburst to somebody, or said something negative, or you did some other things from the emotional reactivity place. First of all, be gentle with yourself. The reality is, as I said earlier, you didn't have necessarily the training and the skills to be masterful at this automatically. You may have learned it through your own journey, your own experience, which is wonderful and great. But if you haven't, it's okay to be gentle with yourself, saying, I didn't do it perfectly, but I didn't know any better. So that's the way it is. And the reality is, when you know better, you do better. But the second part is that when you catch yourself, and that's, again, part of the homework, is to step into a place of being aware that it happened, is to then say, okay, stop in that moment and take a different course. And it's the same thing with anything in life. Is if you're not going where you want to go, you can stop and change direction. Same thing true with emotions. If you realize, anger, that's not what I want to do, let me back up and stop and do something different. So the thing I want to make sure people get is it's not rocket science, but also it wasn't taught in high school. So these skills that you can learn, you can read books working with us as well. And we'll talk about at the end of the show how to reach us as well, of course. But it's something that is worth investing some time in, because as you do become more masterful at your emotional expression, and you become less hair trigger tied to those things, so you don't react to everything that happens, all your relationships will improve, not just your romantic ones, but business relationships and personal relationships, social relationships, family relationships will change as well, if you're willing to do the work.
And I'm sure you've heard this too. My clients started saying, all my other relationships are improving because I'm using these skills with other people, my children, my colleagues, my neighbors, my family. So they really are very interchangeable. And I love that, Maya Angelou said that we did best what we knew then. And now that we know better, we can do better.
Yeah.
And the first step I always think too is that you did it and you notice that, oh my gosh, I did that. That is the best news. It's really the best news, because now you can do something about something you're now noticing. Even if it was 2 hours ago or 2 weeks ago, you're like, I remember doing that. Oh yeah. Because what happens as soon as you do start noticing, even after the fact, it'll start getting closer to when you're going to notice it and go, oh, look what just came out of my mouth. Or, wow, I could stop that from coming out of my mouth. That's
Yep.
the optimum, right? But backing into it, everybody gets grace. We're giving you a pass. Whatever you've not done or done, we've all done it. The question is, would you like to learn how to do better? We are happy to teach you to do better. That's
Yep.
the goal. Just that you need to reach out and say, yeah, it's been a problem and I really don't know what to do. And I hear that you know what to do. So let's talk about that, because we can help you with all that. And it can make your life so much easier, unless you're those people that like to complain and fight with everybody, which is so not the majority of people. They're not our clients at all.
No, but I do know some people who watch the show may not want to do the work. So just to be clear, that we're not saying that everybody who follows us is going to wants to do the work. And the thing about it is, and it's interesting, I've watched this myself, and this is the challenge, because I notice this myself with my own experience sometimes. When I'm with somebody who I have had a challenge with, and they get upset with me and their emotional outbursts are happening, and I don't react to that, it's easy to feel superior. Just saying for myself. Isn't necessary. It's not a requirement, but it's like the challenge is, how do I stay centered and neutral when they're doing it, not just going, look at me, I'm being better than they are. So part of this work, in the sense is when you're not being triggered by somebody else, is to have compassion for them, because you know stuff they don't, which is you know how to manage your own emotional well-being, and they don't know that yet. If they're willing to listen, you can pass the gift along, but the reality is, it's your job to do the best you can for you yourself, and you become a lighthouse for other people who can notice you as well. So being emotionally masterful, meaning that you don't have emotions running you get to manage your emotions in a healthy way, not to be unemotional, by the way. It's the other thing. This is not about being totally tone deaf to emotions, being unemotional at all. No, it's about how to manage your emotions from much of a masterful place so they don't negatively impact other people or yourself. That's the real goal here. And it's worth pursuing how to do that.
And you would have more compassion for yourself and other people, I think.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, if this is intriguing to you, if you think, what kind of work is it? I just want to learn, because the words not always this particular subject, but lots of our subject, the words sound really easy, but we get the hard part. We get the hard part of the work. We've done the hard work and continue to. So we get it. It's hard work, but it's so worth it. So I'd love to talk to you if this is something that you would like to work on, because I want you to really hear that your life could be so much better if you learn to be in touch with your feelings and manage your emotions. It would just be great. So I'm going to send you back to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. Scroll to the middle of the page and you can click on what's holding you back from love. It's a brief questionnaire that then links you to my calendar, and we can have a complimentary conversation to chat about this or some other subject that's holding you back in your relationships. And we can talk on Zoom or on the phone, and it's free. Or you can send me an email at christine@theperfectcatch.com. I answer them every day. Also on my website, if you go to the top, I have a book that's free. It's 10 years of my dating advice column. Happy to let you download it and you get it for free. Also, I'd love for you to join my mailing list, because every week you'll get a repeat of this wonderful podcast that we do, as well as what's going on in my professional life right now. I'd also like you to go to the bottom where all my social media icons are, and there's Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and YouTube. And on YouTube, you will find over 280 podcasts that Barry and I have done together, and some others that I did on my own, and some others with another person. So there's lots of material there to take advantage of. Barry, please tell people how to reach you.
Similar to Christine, I have lots of ways you can reach me as well. Firstly, go to my website, which is barryselby.com. And again, on the top of the page, on the homepage, is a button to click on, which is let's have a conversation, let's have a chat. Takes you to my calendar and a question you fill out, which gives you a chance to talk to me, and we can have a conversation, see where we want to go, etc., etc. Covered that already. At the bottom of my homepage is how you just opt into my email list. If you just want to get my emails every week, you're just going to be putting your name and email there, and you'll get an email every week with a replay of the show, plus other things I'm working on in my life as well. At the middle of the homepage, it hasn't happened yet. It's happening. Let me just say, back up a second. I have 2 assessment quizzes that I created. One of them is on my homepage. The other one's not there yet, but it will be eventually. So the first one is your relationship readiness. Are you ready for a relationship? That's the first quiz that's there. And you click on the button to take the quiz to do that, or you can go to barryselby.com/quiz to get there. The second one is a little more detailed, which is basically a self-reflection process. It really is what's your relationship like with yourself? And you can't get there yet directly with the homepage, but you can click on, if you go to barryselby.com/self-quiz, that'll take you to the assessment there. That's a much more detailed one. So instead of just getting an email from me with a little review of where you are and what you're looking for, you get a whole PDF download to go with it. So it's a much bigger, more self-reflective process, a gift from me to you. Also on my website is my book, which has been out for 13 years now. And that's what's on the corner on my shelf behind me on my bookshelf if you're watching the video. It's 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. It's been out for, say, 30 years, a best-selling book. If you want to find more about it, whilst you're on that page, at the top of it is an audio replay, which is about a 12, 30-minute conversation between 2 very smart AI-generated voices that describe my book in great detail. So you can get a perspective on my book from that first, then you go buy it. The link's at the bottom of the page. You can find me on all social media platforms under my name, Barry Selby. So you can find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on Blue Sky, and also on TikTok. I'm back on TikTok again after being away for 4 years. So you find me there as well. You can also find me on YouTube under Barry Selby, which is all the replays of this show go, all 280 episodes, plus over 1,100 videos I've done myself on different topics over the last years. All my Facebook Lives went up on YouTube as well. So lots of content you can peruse, look at, and see me over the last 15 years. Will look quite different over that span of time as well. That'll give you a lot of things to work on. And then if you want to find me on Instagram or Threads, it's the real Barry Selby. It's the only place it's different. And I think it's a real, you can send me an email at barry@barryselby.com.
And we're here live every week on Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern. You can watch us. And if you want to submit a question, we answer it live. You can also watch the repeats on Roku or on YouTube. Yes. But Barry, they can take us with them, right? And listen.
Yes. Our show is not just a show, it's also a podcast. So if you want to listen to us wherever you're going, we can't watch a screen if you're driving or doing other things that are important to you. You can take us by just sticking your earbuds in your ear and listen to us on a podcast. So listen to us as a podcast, an audio recording. So wherever you listen to podcasts on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, Look for Let's Talk Dating Show with Christine and Barry, and you find us there and listen to all 280 episodes at your leisure.
And if you hear something that you think somebody else in your life would like to hear, please share us and leave us a review and like us and subscribe. And we will be back next Thursday with another interesting subject about dating and relationships. And we look forward to having you here with us.
See you then.
Bye for now.